What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer and Kyle Kelly for this week's Notre Dame recruiting update. Yeah, Trey's not with us. We had a little bit of show personnel changes. I will miss Trey. He's a good buddy. But I think it's going to be pretty cool because Kyle Kelly is my sidekick at blueandgold.com, also covers recruiting. So instead of just hearing me jabber for 45 minutes or however long the show is that day, you get to hear Kyle Kelly as well. My friend, how are you doing?
Well, it was a pretty stressful day before this, but I think it's going to be pretty relaxing to sit back and talk some Notre Dame football recruiting. It's like, as you know, Mike, the last couple of days have been super crazy, just trying to get a hold of kids and, get all the intel coming out of last weekend's Grill and Chill. But nice to be able to just relax, know that all the work has pretty much been done, and we can just sit here and talk about it now.
Yeah, I was looking at your article count the other day. You did 6 articles on the first, which is kind of crazy. I can't
Yeah.
remember the last time I posted 6 articles in a day. Kyle Kelly does a really great job. So follow him on Twitter if you have not done so yet at by Kyle Kelly. I mean, Kyle and I obviously talk nonstop on a daily basis, just about coverage plans and me complaining about stuff like I just normally do. But Kyle and I don't really trade thoughts a ton on things. So I'm really looking forward to just hearing Kyle. I mean, he's very objective and always has really interesting insights. So I'm excited to have him on. This is not super related to Notre Dame, but I wanted to kick off the show, Kyle, and this is not even recruiting related too much. Oregon and Washington have informed the Pac-12 of plan to accept the Big Ten invite. I think it was like a decade ago this year, maybe exactly a decade ago, where you had a lot of, maybe it was like a 2011 or 12, but a lot of conference realignment. Like I remember playing NCAA 2012, and it was like the whole theme for that game was like conference realignment stuff. And now, man, this has been crazy. What do you have any thoughts on this, Kyle?
Welcome to college football, and I guess this era, it's not so much a 21st century because it's been like 20 years already, but this is it. This is your new version of college football. It's going to be the two mega conferences with the SEC and the Big Ten, and Big 12 is obviously fighting to hang around and become like that third sort of big time conference. But this is basically like a professional sports league
Yeah.
for all intents and purposes, where you got your Eastern Conference and your Western Conference.
What about the AC? I feel like the ACC would be the third Big 12, Pac-12 for
I don't
that
know
third.
if the I
But
don't
what's
know if
the
the
ACC
ACC.
anymore?
I don't know if they're going to be able to hold it together. I mean,
Do they
everyone
fold
wants
into the SEC, do you think, Kyle?
Clemson, Florida State. I mean, those two schools make a lot of sense for the
Miami.
SEC but
Yeah.
it's the Big Ten and the SEC the way I look at it. Two big
All right.
conferences and one big league.
Yeah. Real quick, Ian says, Mike, have you finally moved from sitting in the pond in front of Touchdown Jesus? No. My wife and I bought a condo in Clemson, South Carolina. So that's where I am right now. We wanted to get an investment property somewhere that was in like a 2-hour radius of us, and from where I live in Atlanta. So Clemson worked out, and it's actually a really cool town. The food here has really impressed me. I'm a big foodie, and there's a Taco Bell across the street from the condo. So we're staying here, furnishing it. So I will be back sitting in front of the Touchdown Jesus pond this evening. So that is
Ducks on the pond.
That's right. That is right. Okay, let's hear from sponsor real quick, Bird Dogs, which, folks, I'm going to go full screen real quick. Hey, podcast audience, by the way, hope you are doing well. Sorry you can't see some of these visuals, but hey, hope you guys are doing well. Please leave a kind review. And for folks watching real quick on YouTube, hit that thumbs up, of course. Subscribe to the channel. Okay, full screen. I got my Bird Dogs shirt on. So if you use the promo code BGI or the link in the description of this video, you can just use that link and you will get a free Bird Dogs hat as well. So Kyle, I know you're a big golf guy. You're probably jealous that you haven't gotten this yet, because this is a sweet polo from Bird Dogs. It's not the cheapest product, but you get what you pay for. You can go get a $6.
Heck yeah, you do.
$6 Walmart
Absolutely.
polo, or you can spend, from Bird Dogs and get like this quality, this kind of that like really nice dry fit-ish material. But like I'll be wearing this all day, and I wear my Bird Dog shorts all the time. It's slim fit, it's comfortable, it's flexible, and the shorts look great, especially during this hot summer period. Stylish pants and polos will improve your wardrobe. Check them out. Bird Dogs, folks. Their shorts fit way better than the regular stuff you might be wearing, which is made of a stiff, restricting cotton. Bird Dogs fix this issue by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki but stretches so you get a slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement. So really good stuff. And yeah, go to birddogs.com/BGI, or when you check out, just enter in the promo code BGI and you get this free Bird Dogs hats with your order. You won't want to take off your Bird Dogs, I promise you, and Bird Dogs does as well. So, yep, that is Bird Dogs. Some really cool stuff. Okay, yep, moving along. Let's see what
If Bird Dogs doesn't, I was gonna say, if Bird Dogs doesn't fix your wardrobe, it'll fix your handicap on the golf
There you
course.
go.
So, it's a great clothing.
There you go. Okay, moving along here. We wanted to talk about that grill and chill. That was July 30th. The month of July really isn't a month for visits except for that last week of July. It's a dead period everywhere else. But Notre Dame had around 30 kids on campus, Kyle.
Yeah.
We're 5 days removed from that visit date. But what were some of the main things that kind of stuck out to you thinking about this visit weekend?
The one thing that comes to the top of my head is you said that in your 10 years covering recruiting, you had never heard of a more
Yeah.
successful event just from the initial reaction, right?
I would say uniqueness for sure. And we've already seen one player commit to Notre Dame from this, and Justin Thurman, the running back I love from Tampa Jesuit. But it's definitely I don't know about most successful. I mean, we'll have to see. But in terms of like uniqueness, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, just talking to all the kids, they had a great time, and like, luckily, the end of the July recruiting period did two things for us. Number one, it gave us a lot of time to relax and decompress during July, but it also gave these recruits an opportunity to see multiple schools in 1 week, which I don't know about you, Mike, but it helped my reporting because I asked a lot of kids to compare and contrast their visits just to get a gauge on how Notre Dame stacked up and compared to some of the others. And I know Wisconsin, which of course has Luke Fickell, who Marcus Freeman has a long-standing history with, did a similar sort of event. Madison, Wisconsin. Well, just some quick background on the Notre Dame's Grill and Chill. They basically had all the recruits there do a campus trivia and then from there they had Irish Olympics, which like home run derby, dodgeball, and then something they call Irish ball, which is basically like two trash cans 20 yards apart from each other, and then kind of play like basketball, but you don't dribble. You got to pass. I'm assuming if you tap someone, they might be out. I don't know the specifics, but either way, the recruits love it. And actually, they introduced that game on the recruiting event last year, I believe, because that's how when Jaden Greathouse was there, Notre Dame's now freshman wide receiver, Notre Dame saw him competing in that event, and they're like, "Well, we got a stud." So that was kind of. I know you mentioned one of your stories that Notre Dame, like in the past, they had once did like a little mini camp just to see how these guys would compete and move a little, but now they get to do it having fun, playing dodgeball, swinging a bat, and and it's great for the recruits to have some fun and like decompress from standard serious visit as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I posted about that on the message board. I know that's what you're referring to. So like, I don't remember last year's Grill and Chill for whatever reason, but the 2021 one, wow, these tongue twisters are getting me. But that one, I remember it was like really low key. It was like 5-6 kids. Like Notre Dame really kept that off the radar. Because I think if you have a camp, technically you have to open up to everyone, but you don't have to maybe
Publicize
make.
it essentially.
Thank you. Yeah. So you don't have to let everyone know about it. Or I could be wrong on that, but that's at least my understanding. So it's like 5 or 6 kids. But exactly what you said. It was an opportunity for them to get some scouting like doing some of those athletic events and stuff, like you can see like twitchiness and different athletic traits.
It's crazy when you think
without
about it.
Right. Especially, I mean, maybe me and you couldn't do an amazing job with scouting that, but like these Notre Dame coaches who do it for, that's their living, obviously. I,
It's their
I think
job.
they can kind of pick things out a little bit better. But you do this in a fun way that's like, oh, I have a Notre Dame offer and they want me to camp. Like, because maybe Notre Dame's offered a kid and they like want more of evaluation on that. But now they can get that evaluation without having that, that workout. So I think that was kind of a cool thing that Notre Dame did. And I wanted to go back through and I popped this on the screen for our YouTube audience. I just want to go through each visitor and kind of be like who I think I could see myself putting in like a on-3 prediction in for
Let's do
soon.
it, man.
I think
Absolutely.
Streebig, me and you are probably on the same page on that one. I'll just run through mine and then you can give your
Yeah.
thoughts, Kyle. I could see Streebig for sure. I mean, I think Notre Dame's a really good spot for Talon Taylor, but I'm talking about in the next month. Who could I see myself putting a prediction for? Streebig, I could definitely see. I think Notre Dame's in a really good spot for Talon Taylor, but I wouldn't be ready for a pick yet. I like Notre Dame where they're at with Zachary, but not at a pick yet. Flanagan, I'm pretty darn close. But I just kind of want to see where Notre Dame goes with recruiting him because they have Nate Roberts committed. I think that's the only tight end they want. I believe they're pivoting to recruiting Flanagan more as an athlete, but from what he told me, those conversations really haven't taken too much place yet. Rowan Byrne, I think me and you are on the same page. Notre Dame looks really good there. Obviously, they got Justin Thurman committed. What was that, Tuesday or Wednesday? The days are all running together now. Matty Augustine, I think Notre Dame's in the lead spot there. Dom Hewlick, the linebacker, like the Irish. Bettis, I did put in a prediction the other day. I think Notre Dame leads for Ethan Long. I think Notre Dame's a really good spot for Daniel Anderson. I don't know as much about Joseph Reif from your community in Illinois, but that's kind of the some of the names that pop out to me. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, first I want to point out the feature that you're using on our website. Well, technically it's on 3's Notre Dame channel, but super cool for all all our viewers. If you want to keep track, of course you can visit the loose emoji board, and I try to track it pretty well. But it's pretty cool to be able to go on the website and go look all the guys that visited, see the rankings, where they're from, and it's our great on-3 recruiting prediction machine, which kind of gives a little bit of an idea where some of these recruits are leaning or visiting, kind of looking at. But just going through the list, admittedly, I don't know a whole lot about Talon Taylor other than I think that, Georgia could be a player there and some of the schools down south. I know he likes UCLA. But Owen Streebig, I'm in agreement. You and I both there are putting in the Notre Dame pick. We just let that one play out a little bit longer. I think Owen's rushing to make a decision. Chris Burgess, that's going to be an Ohio State Notre Dame battle. Same thing with Zachary. Jadon Blair, I think, had a great weekend. Came pretty surprised. He might be someone to keep an eye on. I'm also with you on James more of Notre Dame trying to figure out what position will fit best at the collegiate level, and then from there kind of deciding how much they want to push early on. But I think the impressions you and I have gotten is that's a guy they want to find to get on the roster one way or another. Rowan Burns, they really like him to end up at Notre Dame eventually, but that's going to be a long recruitment back between Michigan, Ohio State, a couple others. And Marks picked up an offer that's an interesting guy there that had a great time, surprisingly. And Gabe Kaminsky, that's a guy I've gotten to know real well throughout the process. And I think right here you see it on the on3 prediction machine. Notre Dame, Wisconsin, I think be the two that are going to Notre Dame hit theirs out of the park. You've gotten to know Matty Augustine a little bit more than me, but one that went up in my mind, really kind of alarm bells went off, is he went down south before Notre Dame and he visited Alabama, Florida. I'm not starting the Alabama visit, but either way, he got offers from both those schools, and it's pretty big time programs down the south eventually. And Dom Hewlick, that's a guy I think they'll get, and they're starting to push for. Jerome Bettis, obviously, Ethan Long, same thing. And then some of the guys towards the end here, like Daniel Anderson, Jarquez Carter, and Joseph Reif, I think it's going to be a matter of seeing how their junior season plays out. And kind of getting an idea of what their interest is in Notre Dame now that college coaches can contact these 2025 recruits beginning on Tuesday. So that'll be a good gauge for Notre Dame to kind of see where they stand with some of those guys, as the months go on and if they can bring them back to campus.
All right, good stuff there. We're going to talk soon about Notre Dame class of 2025 recruiting, which I'm really, like I said at the top of the show, like Kyle and I don't, like we talk obviously a lot about content and whatnot, but not as much opinions on different things. I'm really interested to hear what Kyle has to say about Notre Dame 2025 quarterback recruiting. But before we do, let's hear from our sponsor, ESC Property Services, and that's the wrong button. Let's see if Mike can figure out what he's doing. You would think he would know. There we go. So folks, if you're a Notre Dame homeowner and especially someone who lives away from South Bend, ESC Property Services can help manage your home. They'll check in on your property in your absence and get it ready for your arrival, from house cleaning to grocery shopping, and they'll clean things up after you leave. ESC Property Services can also cater your party, provide handyman tasks, and even remodel your own home. So what do they not do is the better question to ask than what they will do for your property. Leave the stress and the mess to the professionals. Check them out, escproperties.com. Give them a call, 574-387-0245. Peace of mind services, arrival services, departure services, party prep and catering, handyman remodeling, and personal errands for folks in the South Bend area. Okay, moving along to 2025 quarterback recruiting. Have you heard of this guy Deuce Knight? I think he's a pretty big target for the Fighting Irish. I don't know if you're familiar with them, Kyle. I'm obviously joking, folks.
I'll say this, Mike, just real quick, one note on Deuce. When he was visiting campus last week, there was a Notre Dame staffer going around letting everybody know outside the facility that Deuce Knight was in town and to treat him properly. So safe to say, big target.
Yeah, that is for sure. So, rankings disparities are always interesting. Let's say Deuce Knight commits to Notre Dame. He's ranked as the number 28 player per on three, number 4 quarterback, 24/7 as number 203 and 10. So maybe this is the opposite of a CJ Carr. It's like people want to get on three and how they hate Notre Dame, but
bold move bringing that name up.
they're just rankings. I don't know. Like whenever I talk to the on three guys, we've had Charles Power and oh my gosh, we just
Cody Belair.
I love Cody. I mean, we just had these guys on our YouTube channel, and they both just like speak really highly of Carr, and it's like, then why do you have him ranked low? But like, I just think there's a lot of good quarterbacks out there. Even though Charles says like, oh, the 2024 class is down, and he's comparing it to 2023, which I think he believes is one of the best ever. Like he said, Minchie, I think he had Minchie around 14 or 15 in the quarterback rankings. Like he thinks Minchie would be like, I think he said like top 6 or 7 quarterback in the 2024 class. So it's really interesting. But anyways, Deuce Knight, really good quarterback, visited campus Thursday and then went to Ole Miss Friday and I think Saturday as well. What are your thoughts on this recruitment? 6'4.5", 180-pound lefty, big-time player.
It's a really interesting one, and it's only gotten more interesting since Deuce transferred from his high school in Mississippi to Nashville Lipscomb, where I believe that was Trent Dilfer's previous post before he took the UAB job.
Yep.
So, yeah, Lipscomb Academy, they're an outstanding high school football program, so can't really blame Deuce Knight for transferring there. I think the high school transfers are a little interesting because I know for me, I was like always a hometown kid wanting to play for the high school and grow up with all my friends. But, everything business days, and it looks like a great business for Deuce. And the reason it is interesting is because Tennessee is probably Notre Dame's top contender for him. And I think the move to Tennessee obviously works in their favor. He's right in their backyard, I think about 2 hours away from Knoxville. Only made it much easier to visit, and he's playing with Tennessee commit Caleb Beasley, the cornerback that Notre Dame has continued to put the full court press on and continued to try to keep him engaged and interested in Notre Dame. And Obviously, if Deuce Knight ends up committing to Notre Dame down the road, certainly by the time Caleb Beasley puts ink or pen to paper, Tennessee, that could help in the long run. But this recruitment got a lot of interesting. I think that you and others around the Notre Dame beat are starting to feel good about Notre Dame's position for Deuce, and that they might have put themselves in pole position heading into the season. But I think the one wild card in this is George McIntyre from Brentwood Academy, another quarterback Notre Dame's offered. Tennessee really likes him, and he likes Tennessee, but there's some real contenders there. So I think that the one thing that is going to work in Notre Dame's favor here is George McIntyre commits to Tennessee. It's going to make this race a lot more favorable for Notre Dame if it isn't already.
Dude, there's so much there. Really good breakdown here, Kyle. Man, I just like the pole position thing. I don't know. I think so. I think Notre Dame leads, but
tough to say.
I don't know. I think you remember what I would say about Justin Scott? I was like, he was close to committing to Notre Dame, but I also don't think he loved Notre Dame that much. How can those two things be true? I don't know, but I just feel like they were. With Deuce, I think Notre Dame might be in the best position to land him, but I also think Tennessee leads. How can those two things be true? I don't know. They just are. And I think part of that wild card is George McIntyre.
Yeah.
But then you can even go to a different domino of what Alabama does, because I think Bryce Underwood's their top guy, and I think George McIntyre is their number 2. So what if Alabama just goes in and gets George McIntyre, and then Tennessee's puts the full court press on Deuce Knight? But if I'm Deuce Knight, all of these things we're talking about, I feel like he probably knows these things. If we're accurate, right? Maybe we're totally wrong here. But if what we're saying is true, I'm imagining Deuce Knight knows these things. So if I'm Deuce Knight and I know Tennessee make favors, is that a good term to use? I don't know. But if I'm their number 2 guy, again, saying if, there's a lot of ifs here. I don't want to say this is truth. But if I'm Deuce Knight and it's my understanding that George McIntyre's their number 1 guy and I'm their, number 2, or if you want to call it 1A, 1B, whatever, still it's 1B. How do I feel about that, knowing that Notre Dame has me as their top guy? I don't know. I think that's an interesting kind of thing to discuss here. People like to joke about, if Notre Dame was recruiting the parents, not the kid, that Notre Dame would win 8 straight national championships. That's kind of true, right? Because parents absolutely love Notre Dame. That's true with Deuce Knight. So I think having them in Notre Dame's corner is a kind of a big deal. But the thing is, Kyle, we can talk all about who leads right now, where things are at. This is not a recruitment that is over right now. He was even thinking about committing heading into the summer. That obviously didn't happen. Coming out of the summer, he's still not ready to commit. I think from what he told me, he wants to see some early college football season. He wants to just kind of see how some of these programs look. I think Tennessee might not be as good as people think. I think Notre Dame might come out of the gates hot. If he visits for the Ohio State game, then the Irish beat the Buckeyes. I think Notre Dame just might be able to get him right then and there. So I mean, again, it's like the game. It's like a college football game. It's like Tennessee has a 10-7 lead right now, heading into halftime or something. It's like, what do you want to give Tennessee a cookie? It's halftime. Come on. Notre Dame might have momentum going into halftime, even though they might trail. It's like that kind of thing. And then the last point on Deuce Knight, Kyle, is the transfer thing. It does give Tennessee an edge. We haven't mentioned Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is a real player in Deuce Knight's recruitment too. It's the home state school, but now it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him to go to Ole Miss. Easier to get to Tennessee. Also, easier to get to South Bend from Nashville than Loosedale, Mississippi. And I said this on my video with Darren Pritchett that I posted yesterday, but I think it's better for Notre Dame recruiting a kid when he goes to a school called Lipscomb Academy. I think Notre Dame just recruiting a private school, I think it's just a little bit easier. I think that's an interesting point here.
Yeah,
The Caleb Beasley thing is interesting, Kyle. Just one more thing, I'll let you
yeah.
go. I think Beasley and Knight are actually pretty tight, from what I've heard. So does that mean that it's more likely for Knight to go to Tennessee, or if Knight commits to Notre Dame, is it more likely Beasley goes to Notre Dame? I don't know, but it is an interesting point. Yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I mean, that same thing with Caleb Beasley being from a private school. I think it's a Christian school as well. I think that's one of the reasons why Notre Dame continues to recruit him is because his surroundings and what's important to Caleb. You know, typically with some of these programs nowadays that Notre Dame's going up against is, when there's a Tennessee in there, Notre Dame's probably not going to go too hard against those programs after a verbal commitment takes place. But Notre Dame, they feel like they have a chance with Caleb Beasley. They're still continuing to recruit him, and I'm glad you mentioned that Deuce was kind of looking at taking a few more weeks, maybe a month or two before he makes a decision, because I think that plays best in Notre Dame's favor right now. Is Notre Dame's really banking on a big offensive season with Sam Hartman, and I think that should be expected with the caliber of quarterback he is and some of the pieces Notre Dame's been able to put around him. And, Tennessee, no one really knows what they're going to get out of Joe Milton. He's had a lot of highs, but plenty of lows dating all the way back to his time at Michigan. So it's like if you're Notre Dame, you're kind of banking on Tennessee to take a step back this year, Notre Dame to take a step forward, and hopefully that appeals to Deuce Knight.
Totally agree. I just texted our boss, by the way, Kyle, and I said, Kyle's doing great, put on the show. So we got to make sure we're on our A game right now. Gaussian Gamer says, Mike and Kyle, do you see the Ohio State weekend as make or break? Sort of. I think it could be make, but I mean, he might just go to the USC game instead. Like, I don't know if it's, I was just told it's going to be either of those games. Hell, maybe it could be both. But I don't think it would be a break necessarily. It could hurt, but I think it would be make, or if Notre Dame just gets blown out and he's there, then it could be a hurt. Hey, we'll see you in the chat.
I got a question for you as the recruiting expert. You've been doing this longer than me.
Okay.
Do you really think the outcome of a game in big picture makes a difference on a recruit's decision?
All right, this is something I've tackled for a very long time. So let's say Notre Dame loses to Marshall, right? I remember I was in St. Louis that weekend, and I was texting different sources after the game, and the feeling was like for Notre Dame was we got to love up each and every one of our commits, because other schools are going to see weakness in Notre Dame and go after our guys hard. So that's a real thing, right? Especially if you have like an upset bad loss like that. But otherwise, I think Notre Dame can go to their commits and say, Jeremiah Love hadn't committed at that point. I think after the Stanford game, like Jeremiah Love commits while he's on campus, or announces while he's on campus. And then I think you say to Jeremiah Love, hey, bro, this is why we need you, man. Like, we're going to get this thing turned around. Like, you just have to sell it. I think that's the big thing. If you just have a terrible loss and you can sell, like, hey, this is why we need you. This is why did you see X position group? This is why we need you to come in and, play a big role as a true freshman. But if a kid is just like, hey, man, I don't want to play for a school that just lost to Marshall and Stanford, that's what it is. But I feel like kids who say that might not want to go to Notre Dame anyways, regardless of what the record is, if that makes sense. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you mentioned Jeremiah Love, because like I remember he went to the Stanford game. Obviously, that's when he committed beforehand. And I was kind of curious if that would affect like his mindset. But I remember hearing within the days after that visit that Love's camp, their mindset out of that was like, this is why I'm coming here. So it doesn't happen again, basically. Like I think that Notre Dame's in a better spot than some other schools, that it's not football or nothing. So, losses are going to happen, especially last year was such a unique season with Marcus Freeman as first year head coach. But yeah, you made up a lot of good points. Could you remember that Marshall game? Like the commits were tweeting like Notre Dame was definitely in their ear to reaffirm their commitments because that was an ugly.
We did that article last week where it's like the most impressive recruiting win. I can't believe we didn't even give like Jeremiah Love an honorable mention, did you? Like, did you in the top of the article?
I considered him. I think that was massive, but I just think that, I answered in our previous Mike vs. Kyle edition, Captain Viliamu. I just think a bigger scope recruiting victory Notre Dame for what that could potentially mean. I know Jeremiah Love at the time was like in the short term was a big recruiting victory just because of some of the contenders they beat and how they beat them, like their Oregon's, Tennessee, Michigan was a player late. But with Kingston, Notre Dame has a lot of trouble beating Ohio State, and especially USC for kids from Southern Cal. So that's one that if Notre Dame plays its cards right, I think he can really open up some doors.
I just think that Jeremiah Love one was crazy. Like, I don't know how I still don't know how Notre Dame won that recruit. I remember talking to people, let's just say close to the football program, who also thought the same thing. Like, how did we get this kid? Like, that is, Tim Hyde always says, oh, like, that's an SEC speed guy. That's an SEC running back, which is like it's a weird term, but we kind of all get what he's saying. Like, when you think of like an SEC back that goes on to be a rare first round pick at the running back position, like that's Jeremiah Love. And that was a recruitment that had a lot of NIL talk in it. And Notre Dame still got him, even though Notre Dame does not play that game at all. Like that kid just got it. And the parents were big on the education too. And that I picked Carr for that article. Biggest recruiting win is under Freeman as head coach. And I think I would actually have put Love. Yeah, I still am going to put Carr because the positional importance, because I think he could, be a national championship caliber quarterback, rankings aside. But I think I'll put Love 2 and Viliamu Asa 3. And all right, real quick to get back on the quarterback discussion, Bear Bachmeier's just spent a couple minutes on him. He's another quarterback Notre Dame really, really likes, and he should be visiting, I think, for the Western Michigan game. Is it Western Michigan or Central Michigan game in September? From what he's told me, he's visited 2 schools so far. Stanford, his brother is a freshman receiver there. In Alabama, he camped there in the summer and picked up an offer from the Crimson Tide. So I think this quarterback board works out great for Notre Dame because Knight looks like someone who could commit in September or November. Bachmeier looks more like December on. So if you don't get Knight, you're still right there in Bachmeier's timeline, and you can still recruit him hard in the meantime.
Yeah, I think so. There's 2 visits. I don't think a guy like Bear Bachmeier with all those options, he's going to slow down anytime soon and make a decision. So we could really get into the weeds here in quarterback recruiting and compare how the 2023 recruiting cycle went. But I think right now, just because there is so much time involved, about we'll call it 15 to 16 months left before signing day in 2025, you can sacrifice 4 months to see if you can get your top target. And I think Bear Bachmeier is a guy that seems to have some sort of allegiance to Notre Dame, and at least on a strong affection for, and the whole family does. So I don't really see a reason to rush it. I why Notre Dame's are cautious. I'd be extremely cautious myself. I mean, 23 back recruiting, thinking about the way that went, where they went all in on one guy, and then, boy, they were playing hokey pokey for 4 months during football season trying to find someone. They really, really lucked out on Kenny Minchie, who I think is a really good player. But Notre Dame's in a little bit better spot this time around. Yeah, I mean, is luck of the Irish, as you would say.
Dude, yeah, if someone like if I go grab a beer tonight and Notre Dame fan comes up to me and say, "Hey, what happened with Dante Moore?" I still don't know what to tell him. I have no idea. I really don't. I don't know what happened. It was just all over the place. I would say I want to write a book on it, but I don't even know what to say because there's just so much different rumors. And anyway, does this kid not look complicated? Does he not look like Tyler Buckner on film? This Bear Bachmeier? Like the kind of the flick release, the build, how he runs, Southern California, like all of the things, like just I don't know, man. Like he just has a Buckner feel to him.
Hopefully, it doesn't bring along the injury history, though.
Just knocked on wood for Bear, but yeah,
Good
I would
call.
really like to get for like, dude, Buckner's junior tape was the best thing I ever saw. Like seriously, and then I just remember that Elite 11, and it was hard for me to get back on the Buckner bandwagon after that, and pulling from at Alabama for sure. Yeah, Alabama and LSU with such strong Notre Dame ties. Who would have thought those two programs? So definitely interested in seeing what goes on there. Let's see. Someone mentioned just a minute ago about Augie's locker room. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, Ian says no more Augies. Don't you worry, my friend. We got to talk about Augie's locker room real quick. It is, of course, just the spot for Notre Dame fans. If you are in South Bend, you got to stop by Augie's locker room. And it is, of course, at 1811 South Bend Avenue. If you're looking for that special Notre Dame piece to complete your rec room, make sure you do check out augieslockerroom.com. Wide selection of Notre Dame Stadium pieces, jerseys, helmets, autographs, and one-of-a-kind Rockney items. Just all sorts of various stuff they have, at the store. Augie's a great dude as well, folks. You can find exclusive Joe Montana signed items, famous sculptor Jerry McKenna's miniature replicas with bronze statues around the stadium. And if Augie doesn't have it in store for you, and this is my favorite part, he's going to go find it for you. Very passionate guy about finding some of this stuff. Again, folks, augieslockerroom.com, or stop in at 1811 South Bend Avenue and see the vintage helmet display dating back to 1890. You can also give Augie a call at 574-277-ND. Don't want to spend too much time on this, Kyle. I want folks to be able to check this out at blueandgold.com. But we did have this article, the Mike versus Kyle. I remember we were kind of coming up with, hey, let's do like a weekly point counterpoint article, trying to come up with something catchy. I was like, dude, it's just Mike versus Kyle. That's what this is. So sometimes it's more of a debate. Sometimes it's like this week, it's more of just like, hey, let's just take a topic, let's just give our thoughts on it. So I thought this was a really interesting one you came up with. What word best describes Notre Dame's 2024 class? And what was yours, Kyle? And just kind of give us some thoughts on
it. Can you scroll down to make sure I don't
forget it already?
I think I know it here. Yeah, ambitious. Yep. So believe it or not, I spent probably a half hour looking for a word to describe this 2024 recruiting class. I went through like 30 words and their definitions to try to get something. And I was looking for the word that maybe somebody can comment that has a better dictionary in their mind than me. I was looking to describe that it's good, but they're also hinging on a lot of good things to happen. So anyway, I said that was kind of the theme of this class, to go out and build the offense around DJ Carr. And they also are ambitious in the sense that they need to have a lot of guys pan out on the defensive side in terms of, when you look at what the internet recruiting rankings say, a lot of the guys are low 3 stars. I outlined in my story there, I think there's 5 guys, which is makes up about half the defense, that rank from like 500 to 750. And for a Power 5 program like Notre Dame, probably not ideal. But I think also in the same sense, Notre Dame's only banking on those kids that have, well, I wouldn't say banking on, I think they expect those kids that have strong seasons, and hopefully their ranks and with that. But all we can do right now is look at where it stands right now, or at least that's what I like to do. I don't want to jump ahead and project too far, but that's just kind of the sense that I got from this entire 2024 recruiting class as a whole, from the way it started and now the way it's to finish. I feel like it's just been an ambitious approach.
Yeah, good deal, man. Mine was actually Will says his word was top heavy.
That was a good one. Yeah, I felt that was a
Will, you're sucking up to me. I appreciate it. I don't know. I asked my wife, who's an English graduate. Is that the right term? She got her degree in English. Top heavy. I mean, it's one word. I guess so.
That's bold. Seems like a cheat code to me, but we'll let it slide.
Yeah,
We'll let it
probably.
slide
But
this
like,
time.
I just think, and I talked to a Notre Dame source recently about the class, and I'm not going to name who, but like people think that like, there's only like 2 or 3 guys on the commit list who are like a questionable take. Like some of these 3-star guys, like Notre Dame sources feel like are absolute freak shows. Like maybe not absolute freak shows, but like really good takes. Like I was like, yeah, people are kind of iffy. I was talking to the person. I was like, I think people are kind of iffy. Like fans are iffy on Kennedy Urlacher. Like, oh, is he a safety? Is he a linebacker? Is it just the last name? And the person was like, what? People don't like Kennedy Urlacher? They think he's gonna be a line. No, he's a safety, Mike. That's crazy. Like conviction. I want to add real quick, Kyle. We get told a lot of things, right? And I could say, oh, source thinks that Notre Dame's going to win 10 straight national championships, right? That's like you have to put like you hear things. That's obviously an extreme, but as a reporter, you have to hear things and you put it through a BS filter, right? Like I can hear something, but like, or is that just what people are telling me because that's what they want the message to be? Like maybe something is said with a lot of conviction that now I feel confident in kind of putting out there. Like, I don't want to say, like, oh, I heard this from a source. Don't blame me if this information is wrong because that's what they said. Like, I feel like that's just copping out as a reporter. That's like saying top heavy is one word, right? That's a bunch of crap. That's 2 words. You know what I'm saying, Kyle? Yeah. So that's kind of a side note. Like yeah, if you're going to be a reporter and you have to own what you're reporting and you have to put it through your BS filter, to like, is this good stuff? Like, does this make sense essentially? So anyways, I don't remember what we're talking. Oh yeah. So top heavy, they got their guy at quarterback. Kedron Young and Aeneas Williams, I think, is the best running back tandem Notre Dame signed. I mean, Estime and Diggs was pretty damn good, but like on paper, that's the Young and Williams is better than Diggs and Estime. Again, just recruiting rankings wise. Cam Williams, if they get Gerby Lambert, are you kidding me? Defensive line, Logan Thomas is one of the fastest players in this class, and that's an edge rusher. Kingston Viliamu-Asa, Notre Dame feels is a 5-star. Tay Johnson is Notre Dame's highest ranked safety recruit since Kyle Hamilton. Dude, top heavy. I don't think it's as deep as 2023 or 2022 in terms of like top to bottom. But I think the top, this might be one of Notre Dame's best classes. Like at the top, like you look at like the top 6, 7 guys or something, like I think it might be one of their best classes ever. So it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think they're just, like I said, they're not banking on, but they trust their evaluations that these guys are going to have strong senior seasons and that it won't become top heavy. Hopefully, the industry rankings and ratings kind of catch up to Notre Dame's
Yeah.
evaluations. So
Yeah. Good deal. All right. I think we had one more topic to discuss. Did all of our ad reads. Okay. I just wanted to touch on real quick, Kyle, kind of wrapping up here. There's the freshmen at fall camp. I haven't been able to go to a practice yet, and I don't think I'm going to be able to in August, but I know you caught the first 2, and you'll be there Saturday, I believe.
not Saturday, but I plan to be. I think next week they got a full practice, so definitely going to be there for that. Those are the best ones.
Sorry, I was reading a comment. Which day did you say you were going?
Next week, full practice, so I'll be there. Yes, sir.
Okay, sweet. Just thoughts on some of these true freshmen. Let me pull up the commit list, or signee list, I should say, in 2023. Any guys that you feel pretty strongly about? Anyone that you really liked and you saw at practice? Just kind of give you the floor here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of do what we did to start the show with the 24 or 25 targets and just kind of go through like very quickly name by name what we've kind of seen so far. So let me go ahead and pull it up on my end. But I know Jeremiah Love is the first guy there. But Charles Jagasaw is kind of working back from his knee injury, getting back in shape, adjusting to the college speed. So not really a lot to see there. I know he's been at left tackle. So I think Notre Dame's kind of trying him out there. Jeremiah Love's been really impressive. I think as advertised, he's super fast, elusive. I think that's a guy that's going to play a lot. I think you know what you're getting from Drake Bowen, leader. He's been there since the spring. So has Christian Gray, but uh, Christian Gray working back from knee injury. I think, picked back up right where he left off in the spring when he had a really strong start before having a knee scope, which kind of knocked him out for the remainder of it. And Braylon James, I think the two guys we talked a lot about in the spring were Rico Flores and Jaden Greathouse. Braylon James has had some really good practices. You've seen Kenny Minchie really develop a rapport with him, and I think that's been impressive so far. Jaden Greathouse, everyone knows what he did during the spring. Kenny Minchie, obviously he's behind Angelian Hartman and sort of starting to get some experience in that playbook, and he's getting better each practice. You can really see the progression there. Brendan Vernon's a guy I've been really excited about with the way he's played. He's really aggressive, physical. Everyone's noted that. Jaden Osbury, we've talked about on Blue and Gold with a lot of our intel pieces. He's someone that I think Notre Dame can expect to contribute this year, and at the very minimum on special teams. Boubacar Traore, doesn't have the weight, but I think that's a guy Notre Dame's got to be really excited about in the future. Just a great athlete. His brother's a basketball player, so I think there's a lot to be excited there. Rico Flores,
Didn't
same
Traore have
categories.
like a brother or cousin who played tackle at LSU and I think is in the pros? Does
Yeah,
that sound right?
yeah, he's got the athleticism in his family. Played for the Jaguars, I believe.
Let's see if it's not here. Let's just see Boubacar. All right, you can go ahead. I just want to look this up real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you're kind of stuck on Rico Flores, and he's kind of in that same group as Greathouse. They had a really strong spring.
Yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
Played at LSU, Badara, LSU, an offensive lineman for the Cardinals. Brother Mohammed played college basketball at a D2 school.
Yep.
And so pretty darn good family athletically. Yeah, sorry, I had the wrong tab pulled up. There it is. So yeah, there it is. Sorry, go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I kind of thought whereas when Jane Greathouse Springs, they've been working with twos a lot. And I will say that when we're up there at these practices, most of the time we only get to see the first 5 periods, so it's really difficult to be in more than one place. So you kind of got to pick and choose the positions that you watch. And I mostly watched D line, and Evan Houston was on that. He's still working his way back from the shoulder surgery that he had in the spring, but I think he's starting to settle in and adjust to the game speed. Seen him had some impressive moments, and so is Cooper again, tight end. He's going to be in there in the mix game to see some play. I think he's gotten a couple reps with the ones, so don't be surprised to see a new number 87 on the field. In the Micah Bell speedster, obviously, and been dinged up a little bit. But I think I've been actually pleasantly surprised with the way Mike has played. I know we were down at the All-American Bowl and at times looked overmatched with the competition. I don't think that was a huge surprise just because of the league he played in Texas. But he's kind of come a long way adjusting the speed, as has Sullivan Apsher adjusting the pass pro.
Yeah.
Don Schuler, he's recovering from that shoulder surgery. He's looking good. Ben Minnick, smart guy, reactionary, fast. Joe Wang. We're kind of, again, pretty redundant here, but I think a lot of these guys towards the bottom, Mookum, Pendleton, Odding, they're showing good signs, but it's just going to be a while before those types of guys see the field. Preston Zinner, he's behind a lot of guys. Tarek.
Hey, dude, he looks really good. Doesn't
he is?
Does
yeah,
he looks like the part for sure as a freshman.
Plays. I mean, he's got those instinctive linebacker skills, and I think he's been working a lot of Will and Mike, so he could potentially be that future Notre Dame signal caller. And I think he has, I don't see a lot of differences between him and Drake Bowen right now. I think Drake's more of an athlete, obviously a baseball guy and a little bit faster probably, but like I said, when we're out here, we don't get to really see a whole lot in the time,
right.
But basically just wrapping up, Caleb Smith, he's been out. Not sure if we'll see him this year as he recovers from I think it was a shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
So I basically, in summary, I've paid a lot of attention to this freshman class. That's kind of more or less been my beat for fall camp, and
Yeah.
there's some encouraging signs. I think if you're Marcus Freeman, you got to really be excited with the guys you brought in your first recruiting cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a bummer that Caleb Smith is out. I don't know how long he's out for, but you have to think if he misses fall camp and he wasn't a spring guy, it's gonna be hard for him to get on the field. But I think he was someone who could be like a sneaky big time player as a freshman, even though he's the lowest ranked guy of the class. Zinter, I think the world of Preston Zinter. I think to me, he's going to end up as the surprise of the class. Like I wrote an Inside Backers talking Vili Amuasa, coming in next year, and and Drake Bowen. Zinter, I think, might be a will. If those two guys are the mics,
Yeah.
I think he could be a will.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to think if that's the battle, then one of those two between Vili Amuasa and Bowen could slide to will, especially Bowen with that versatility and athleticism. But different discussion for a different day. Flanagan, I put out a little Instagram video and TikTok and a short and all that crap. I don't know if you guys saw this. Be a surprise guy who I'm hearing really good things about is Cooper Flanagan. Right? So I did that video. I don't know if you guys hear that on July 6th, before fall camp started. Heard that from a source. The source was like, dude, you got to talk about Cooper Flanagan. Flanagan's been a standout of the freshman group. And when you watch him wearing 87, actually, if you guys can just give me a quick second, let me see if I can just pop on a video.
I
And
hope
show
you're
you
not going to
guys.
compare him to Michael Mayer because Cooper Flanagan's good. You know, he's his
All right,
own
but I'm just
player.
saying from a
But
size standpoint, he just got here. And
he's a big player.
Flanagan, Mayer, if I remember correctly, Mayer in that 2020 season, or is that 2020 season, he jumped, what was the other tight end's name? Tremble. He jumped Tremble pretty much, right? Tremble was like, oh, he's the next guy after Cole Kmet. Mayer like jumped Tremble. So like Flanagan's, I don't think he's a Michael Mayer, but dude, he looks good. Like size, like I've told, he's very, very physical. Like his route running might need a little bit of work, but he's in a really good spot right now. So Flanagan is someone who I really do believe in. So someone just mentioned here, Mike looks like what's up, Jake Hart? Mike looks like he's at a corporate job with a button up. Not a button up. This is a polo. Bird Dogs. Pro code BGI. I'm wearing the Bird Dog shorts as well. I'm not going to stand up. But if I feel like I'm calm, cool, and collected on today's show, it's because I'm wearing Bird Dogs. So please do check them out. But yeah, Rico Flores and Jaden Greathouse, the receivers, you got to feel pretty good about them. And then Jaden Osbury is another that I think might surprise people and have like I don't think he's going to redshirt. Let's just say that. Like I think he's going to be like at least a special teams,
He's
big time
play.
special team contributor.
Yep.
He can play. He's not the biggest dude, and we knew that when he was a high school recruit, but he can play. And then I think Christian Gray and Jeremiah Love as well, the St. Louis guys. So, Ian, you're gonna have to give me a super chat or something if you want a thigh reveal. I just don't I don't know where else to say this without making it super inappropriate. So I'm just gonna leave it there.
It's a Friday afternoon. Let's keep it keep PG.
Let's keep it appropriate. All right. Well, Kyle, I think we had you on this show before, right? I mean, you have done this once before.
Yeah, yes, sir. This will be number 2 and plenty more to come.
Plenty more to come. So we are going to do, let me pull up a calendar real quick, folks. And if you're just joining us in the past 10 minutes or so, like we're 54 minutes in, go watch the beginning. We had some really good stuff in today's show. This used to be a half-hour show, but I think now with me and Kyle on here, we're going to have longer shows like this. So we'll do the 11th, I'm pretty sure. I might actually be back here on the 11th. And then
I won't be here. I'm going to see some country music, baby. Yes, sir.
Okay.
You won't find me.
Guy. You're
one of the biggest. Okay.
Yeah. So I might just do a solo show next Friday and talk to you guys for a little bit. The 18th, I think we have a show. Yeah, you're gonna be around the 18th that Friday.
We'll talk.
No, Oh my God, that's right. I remember. Okay, so Kyle jumps on and is now jumping out for a couple weeks.
Well,
But
we
then
could adjust our schedule anyway, because during
yeah,
Fridays, football Fridays are those are a gold mine for us. So
yeah. So I was gonna say the next couple Fridays we'll do, or at least I will do. We'll have a show. We have too many dang sponsors for us not to do them. And then starting game week, we're gonna adjust from Friday because, like Kyle said, like Fridays are a big day for us with us traveling and whatnot. And Friday is kind of a slower day of the week during the game week, especially with me doing so much YouTube stuff for the team side of things. Kind of just like those days. And then I am traveling, obviously. So we're gonna move it to Thursday morning. We haven't locked down a time. It's either like Thursday at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. So Air Pro just drops a super sticker here with five. I don't know. Am I supposed to do a thigh reveal now for $5? I don't know, Air Pro K. What are you thinking, man? I really do appreciate the super chat and support here. I'm just gonna wait another moment if he has anything else to add, but really do appreciate the support. But yeah, I guess we'll just see Kyle in a couple weeks or something because
I'll be
3 weeks.
around. We'll
Yeah.
make it happen.
All right. Well, I think we'll sign it off. We'll sign it off right there. Again, folks, if you're just joining us, please do check back the beginning of the show. Air Pro K, again, really appreciate the super sticker there. But yeah, again, good stuff. Head to blueandgold.com for more coverage of Notre Dame Fighting Irish football recruiting. I think myself and Kyle do a fantastic job. I'm a little bit biased, but I think it's the best Notre Dame football recruiting coverage on the web, and of course our YouTube channel right here as well. You guys enjoy your weekend, stay safe, and we will catch you next time.